Nearly 2 billion people suffer from malnutrition, a condition that results from lack of sufficient nutrients in the body. It causes fatigue, dizziness, and growth-related problems. It can lead to serious health issues, including stunted growth, eye problems, diabetes, and heart disease. People at the bottom of the economic human pyramid are mostly affected because they have low-income earning potentials and less diet options. Malnutrition and hidden hunger affects people of all ages, but women and children are most vulnerable because of their high nutritional requirement and because of gender inequalities in poverty. It is estimated that 2 million Nigerian children suffer from severe acute malnutrition. Of this number, only 2 out of every 10 children affected are currently reached with treatment. 7% of women of childbearing age also suffer from acute malnutrition. There is limited access to nutrient-rich foods as locally available staple foods are mostly low in nutrient. In a bid to reduce malnutrition indices globally, Gain and Harvest Plus embarked on the Commercialization for Biofortified Crops (CBC) project to expand the coverage of biofortified nutrient-dense foods to at least 200 million consumers by 2022. This approach involved scaling up the commercialization of biofortified foods and diet quality to tackle hidden hunger in 6 countries, namely Nigeria, Kenya, Tanzania, Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan, by leveraging on the previous work done by Harvest Plus to promote biofortified crops across these countries. Both organizations jointly developed country-level strategies for commercialization, and they assessed the potential for scale and commercialization of biofortified crops across selected countries. In Nigeria, the objective was to expand the coverage of biofortified nutrient-dense foods to at least 34 million consumers by 2022.
Biofortified crops are essentially staples, maize, cassava, rice, and so on, that have been intensively developed using normal, natural plant breeding techniques to make them able to deliver a higher nutrient concentration to those who are consuming them. We started to think about commercialization of biofortified crops in about 2018. That was just shortly after our last 5-year strategy, which was launched in 2017, with the aim of improving access and affordability of nutritious foods for Nigerians, especially the most vulnerable. That involved using different pathways, including working with businesses to make those nutritious foods more affordable, more accessible. Biofortified crops have been around for many years. They've been developed by research institutes, but they've been kept in the lab or in really small demonstration projects. Our thinking then was, if we are to really support farmers who are producing these foods, which are essentially staples in the countries where they're consumed, in our case, maize, cassava, potato, that we would need to really think about how we could make this more accessible and more affordable for farmers, but also for people using the market. So we got together with Harvest Plus, who are a research organization who have been working in Nigeria on developing vitamin A cassava and vitamin A maize. And so this was really the opportunity for both of us to come together. We bring in our commercial abilities to really help to commercialize this product, Harvest Plus being the technical research part. We started to talk about this and we actually launched the project in 2019.
The CBC project had 3 goals. Goal 1, improve access to inputs and markets for biofortified seeds and food products. Goal 2, strengthen demand for nutrient-rich staple crops. And Goal 3, improve the enabling environment for biofortified foods and food products. The project had its first phase implemented in 8 states in Nigeria, with Oyo, Kaduna, Niger, and Imo states being the vitamin A maize states, while Osun, Anambra, Nasarawa, and Cross River states were the vitamin A cassava states. The project had 4 key components: demand, supply, policy, and financing.
With the government of Nigeria and Harvest Plus and other partners,
we wanted to support government to really think about policy around biofortified crops. We wanted to work on creating demand for these foods because we knew that for commercial success there had to be a demand for those foods. And as the demand was being built, we wanted to support the farmers and the processors to be able to increase supply so they could meet those demands. And lastly, we knew that there would be a need for financing. So it was also working with finance organizations to really sensitize them to the opportunity so that they would provide more funding for this area of work.
Although Nigeria was the largest producer of cassava globally with an estimated annual production of 60 million tons, the 12th largest maize producer globally and second in Africa after South Africa, estimated at almost 11 million tons as of 2018. Only 2.8% of the cassava produced in Nigeria was biofortified, while vitamin A maize accounted for less than 1% of its annual volume.
Nigeria produces so much food as a country, but then the people suffer from malnutrition. So we're concerned about having more Nigerians eat more nutritious food to improve the nutrition indices of Nigeria. We look at the commercial where all the value chain segment, there was going to be a business across the value chain using private sector driven approach and then engaging the value chain from end to end, from the upstream segment to the downstream segment.
Harvest Plus increased the number of seed and producers and recruited 1 extension staff per local government across 10 selected local government areas in each of the 8 CBC states, with a desk officer totaling 90 staff to boost supply. In addition, Harvest Plus contracted state coordinators in each of the states to support supply chain activities across board. Working with value chain actors, Harvest Plus provided the required technical support to improve access to seeds. Research institutes were supported to multiply early generation seeds, which in turn are mass-produced by seed companies into certified seeds, also known as the farmer's seed.
Our strategy is to ensure that the seeds that the seed companies produce, process and package, the seed is able to get to the communities so that the local agro dealer in the community is able to also sell and make some income from it. At the beginning of the season, we bring in agro dealers from the local government areas. We matchmake them with the seed companies. We introduce the seeds to them. The seed company also goes ahead to also provide some kind of 10% discount so that will also motivate the agro dealer.
Through the farming season, extension agents for CBC activities in the state working under the training and visit TNV system provided further technical support for identified farmers.
We have sessions with the farmers through our extension agents. They go to train farmers on the use of these 2 crops. So it's seriously gaining wider acceptance across the states.
For gain, we took the demand creation approach, which started at the farm gate down to the table of the consumer. In that company, we were able to drive demand by training processors on improved processing techniques in a way that they will retain the nutrient content in the final product. We also train them on business development skills, to strengthen them how they will drive their businesses around the nutritious food.
Ogumot Farmers Academy, in collaboration with the Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition, GAIN, trained processors across 9 states of the Federation, where we trained more than 600 processors on different value-added products, from household to industrial products like the high-quality cassava flour, gari, and various other products.
Normally, we used to do what we call aku, and it is usually in the wet form. But from that training, we were taught how to get it into a dry form, like a flour, which can be easily carried, and that is what is my best-selling product right now.
I'm this kind of person that is lazy about record keeping. From those training, I've gained how to keep records very well, how to do all these planning and so on.
We conducted market activation and promotion approach where we went to about 16 markets across the 8 states to activate the product. We had campaign materials that were branded with the slogan, "In the Keep Body campaign," which served two functions. The functional message of the brand and also the emotional message. The beta is the beta-carotene, which is requisite for the vitamin A, and then the beta.
In Nigeria, better means something good, something better. So it was catchy, it was more efficient, everybody was more, into it. How do I eat better? Working with the vendors, they had gone through training, but also branding them with point of sales materials to create awareness in the market. And that involved, giving them apron, caps, buckets to help them preserve the vitamin A maize product or the cassava product. And then phase 2 was also going into the market and talking to people, engaging consumers, talking about the benefits of the product. We selected a vendor from each state to make some food with this product, with the nutrient-dense crop like vitamin A cassava, vitamin A maize. And we had like a food tasting where consumers got to taste things. We had food sampling where we gave consumers, they can taste it, but they can take it back home. It's actually amazing when it comes to vitamin A maize and cassava is they're not necessarily changing their food palette, they're consuming the same thing. So it was easy for you to say, okay, you're still eating the same thing, but this is nutrients dense, this gives you more vitamins. Apart from working with vendors, we had more consumer awareness past our initial segments of the value chain.
Through this project, we know from analysis of the work that we've done that 30 million more Nigerians are now aware of biofortified crops and foods and demanding, in many cases, biofortified crops. And that is through the communications and advocacy work that this project invested in, both above the line using mass media and below the line using activations, especially in markets and schools and communities. We've worked with nearly 500 processors in this project, and to help them to invest in processing equipment and processing methods that are particularly suited to biofortified crops. So they can bring new products to the market, or they can expand their production. We've also worked with over 250 of these processors to identify new financing opportunities and to support them with both training and technical assistance, which is enabling them to access the finance that they need to invest again in biofortified crops.
Market development and commercialization of vitamin A, cassava.
Turning a vision into reality comes with employing well-thought-out strategies. On December 8, 2020, the CBC project was officially launched in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, with the aim of broadening stakeholders' understanding of the project and secure their buy-in and support for scaling up the commercialization of these biofortified crops and food products. Strategic stakeholder engagements with development partners also held at sub-national levels to influence the creation of an enabling environment for business and value chain actors through policies formulation and amendment, budgetary provisions, and the inclusion of pro-vitamin A in agricultural-related programs. These multi-level engagement proved to be very vital to the smooth takeoff of the CBC project and as a sustainability component of the project.
States like Oyo and Niger have now incorporated biofortified crops into schemes like the homegrown school feeding program or into some of the agriculture development programs. Particularly Cross River State has actually taken a statewide approach and embedded biofortification into their statewide policies across a whole range of areas.
The CBC project, we're able to mainstream it into our farming system, and 150 youths and women were sensitized, and that number within 18 months increased to 19,500. By fortification crop has been enshrined into the policy, and it is even in the strategic plan. And then we have a budget. All what we are looking at is to improve nutritional indices, nutritional outcome in the state.
With these types of successes, we believe that we've sown a seed that is already bringing forth fruit. The work is only just begun. There's still so much more investment that needs to go in to really engage 200 million Nigerians and move them from consuming what we call analog staples to nutrient-enriched biofortified staples.
Scaling up commercialization of biofortified foods will pave the way toward reaching tens of millions more households across Nigeria to improve nutrition and to end hidden hunger. Join us in making staple foods more nutritious and profitable for Nigeria's farmers and consumers. Help us end hidden hunger.